Hey there, just a second, folks. Dex here. Look, I don't know how this is going to go over, but I don't really care, man. I mean, I am not about to take everything and paint it with the brush of the police state. You know, I mean, honest to Christ, man. You can. It's one thing, all well and good, to say that the structures above that move everything, hit everything down the line, and so forth, and I accept that. I accept that. Things do follow the path of least resistance. But am I going to get pissed off at the cops for for stopping cars and taking away and impounding vehicles and suspending driver's licenses of fucking idiots that are driving more than 50 kilometers over the speed limit? I'm not. I'm not. And I can well assure you that where these were happening. I mean, the truth of the matter is, I don't know, maker of the video, man, if you're from Ontario or where you're from. I live in Winnipeg now, but I lived in Toronto for 20 years, and you know, you can't cruise on the 401, depending on the time of the day. But generally speaking, the traffic, anyone who's driven the 401 or the 410 or the 403 or the Queenie, really. Not so much the Gardner, because the Gardner's not too fast, but generally speaking, the major highways that intersect Toronto, traffic moves at like at $1.20 to $1.30, and you know, it's like 6 lanes across, and you got your collector lanes and your express lanes, of course, but the collector lanes, you know, that just means your exit is coming up fairly soon, in the next 5 or 6 kilometers or whatever. But the traffic does move at probably a good 20 or 30 clicks over the speed limit at the best of times. But that's not where the fucking speed racers go. The speed racers go into largely residential areas, or, you know, between the stoplights and shit like that. So I'm not in any way, shape, or form. Am I upset that they're picking off the impaired drivers? No, of course not. I mean, come on, man. Let's police state. I can see the police state coming more so in the States, where everybody's all wrapped up in fucking rah all the time. Anyway, you know, I mean, I don't think this is anything fucking new. I went down to Florida in '84 for spring break, me and 7 guys in a '79 Dodge van, and we got pulled over in Georgia for speeding, and the troopers fucking came out, looked like linemen, for Christ's sakes, just absolutely massive guys, and they had us come out with, they had guns drawn, had the flashlight out and the guns out. You know, we were pulled over for speeding, for Christ's sakes. And we were like 17-year-old kids in Canadian flags and maple leaf hats and shit like that. And we were all pretty goosed, I must say. And enough beer hidden within the van to feed an army, or at least a couple Canadian boys over the course of a week, anyway. And if memory serves, the cop just took $100 off each of us, and he let us on our way. But the point, after he determined that you know, we weren't up to no good or anything like that. But I listen. They got to police they need the people within the force, and I think you'll have a hard time. I have a hard time accepting that. The OPP, which runs the highways out in Ontario, out here they do contract with RCMP, oddly enough. In Ontario, RCMP is just federal. But the traffic cops, you know, they're not the fucking shield boys so much. You know, the only problems I had with the cops in Toronto, and anyone who's from Toronto knows what I'm talking about, is if you get out of line with those fuckers, they'll take you down to Cherry Beach. You know, I mean, really, if you're up to no good in Toronto, you want to be arrested. because to be questioned and then released, it's not worth the beating. You know? So, I mean, that's... But, I'm sorry, Vicky. I mean, I'm glad you sent this to me. I appreciate it. But, not everything is tied to, you know, police state nation. I'm sorry. You know, I mean, if they, like, we just had a long weekend, okay? A Victoria Day long weekend. And, you know, if one of these fucking pinheads would have, you know, jumped this curb, because all these guys do the same thing. They take these little rice rockets with 15-inch wheels and 4-cylinder engines that were, everything was intended to go around a little Econobox vehicle, and they ramp it up, and you know, unless their old man's got tons of cash, the brakes usually aren't upgraded. They spend all their time getting it up to Mach 1 and don't worry so much about having this whole sudden stop thing. So if one of these pinheads, you know, was taken off and jumped the curb and picked off a kid, and they do the thing, and the cop says, and you know, he was just on Queen Street, for the sake of argument, or Dundas, Mississauga, which is a common run for these fucking clowns, which goes right through a big residential area, through school areas and so forth. Then what? You know? So I'm sorry. It looks like the guy. I mean, I'm just jumping to a conclusion here, so I better not. But my first guess would be that the guy who put this together is a fucking street racer, because that seemed to be, you know, his big thing right off the bat. I think if you're going to drive a car 50 clicks over the speed limit, then fuck you, man. Welcome to society. The right to drive is not a privilege. Excuse me, the right to drive is not a right. It is a privilege. You know, so I got no problem with that. I mean, I still think the Zen cars, ZENN, zero emission, no noise, an electric car that's made in Canada, should be made available in every urban center in North America. You know, everyone knows the Tesla Motors. TeslaMotors.com. If you checked out that car, it's wicked. It's faster than a Porsche, and you know, 300 mile range rather, and you know, wicked top speed and so forth. But I don't think we need, you know, super duper mega fast cars. You know, I've never really understood why the crappiest little dinkiest car, Toyota Tercel or, you know, whatever, can go 140 clicks. Never quite understood that. But I guess if all the cars went the same basic speed, that is the speed limit or less, you'd be hard pressed to convince Johnny Allstar that he needs a car to go Mach 1, I guess. Who knows? Anyway, that's what I think. You know, I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I mean, when the cops start coming down on people for free speech and for exercising their rights, then yes, I'm with the people on that one. And I pity the fucker who comes to my house telling me what. Honestly, send a battalion. You know, I'm not a pacifist by any stretch. I just, I don't look for shit. You know, but, and driving fucking 50 kilometers over the speed limit, you're looking for it. What, you're asking for it, man. So, I'm not crazy about all these things getting mashed together. The agendas get hijacked by the fucking pinheads that, you know, they'd be pinheads anyway. You know? Fuck that. But, again, that's just me. Peace.